I never thought the day my brother got married would be the same day. I questioned everything I ever believed about family, loyalty, and what it means to be loved by the people you've held closest your whole life. And maybe the most painful part is this: I didn't lose my brother overnight. I lost him slowly, quietly. In moments so small, so subtle, I didn't notice they were pieces of me disappearing. But when the wedding invitation didn't come, when everyone in the family received theirs and I was left staring at an empty mailbox, I finally understood the truth, a truth that shattered me in ways I still struggle to speak about. Before I tell you everything, before I unfold the secrets, the choices, the heartbreak, please, if you're here listening, if you've ever felt betrayed by the people who should have loved you the most, stay with me until the end. And if this story touches you, please like, subscribe, and give me just a moment more of your heart, because what happened next changed me forever. Now, let me take you back. I still remember the exact sound my mother's voice made when she mentioned the wedding, as casually as if she were discussing the weather. As if it was normal that she said, "Your brother wants everyone to arrive early for the family photos." Everyone but me. It didn't hit me at first. Or maybe it did, but I refused to let the pain rise too quickly. I swallowed it like I swallowed so many things in my life. Things I convinced myself didn't matter as long as the people I loved were happy. But that day, my brother's words would become the sharpest wound I'd ever felt. Because he didn't even tell me himself, he sent a voice note. A short one, barely 10 seconds. A whisper of discomfort in his tone that told me everything before he said a single word. "Listen, I hope you understand, but my wife doesn't really want you there," just like that. As if I were a neighbor, a stranger, someone who didn't deserve to exist. In that moment of joy, my mouth went dry. My fingers trembled. I replayed the message 5 times just to make sure I wasn't imagining it. My brother, the same boy who held my hand on the first day of school because I cried too easily. The same boy who used to tell me I was his favorite person in the world. The same boy who defended me, protected me, loved me, was now telling me I wasn't welcome. At the most important moment of his life, not because of anything I did, but because someone decided I didn't fit her picture. Someone who knew nothing about the years he and I survived together. The storms, the losses, the late-night talks. The whispered promises that no matter what happened, we'd never lose each other. I tried calling him. He didn't pick up. I texted him. What did I do? He replied, "It's not about you, just don't make this harder. Please, don't make this harder." As if my heartbreaking was an inconvenience, I sat on my bedroom floor for what felt like hours. No tears, no rage. Just a hollow, echoing silence, the kind that fills you when you realize love can be rewritten in someone else's. Hands. My mother tried to explain it away. "You know how brides are," she said. "She probably wants a small wedding party. She probably worries you'll outshine someone. She probably just doesn't know you well." But each excuse hurt more than the last. Because why did I have to be excused at all? Why was I suddenly something that needed to be justified? And why did my brother say nothing in my defense? Nothing to stand for me the way I stood for him every day of our lives. The days before the wedding were torture. Every relative talking about outfits, rehearsals, menus, words that sliced through me like thin, invisible blades. Everyone but me. Everyone but the sister who loved him more than she ever loved herself. The night before the wedding, he finally called. I almost didn't pick up. My hand hovered above the screen, my breath shaking, my heart begging for closure. When I answered, he didn't speak at first. His breathing was uneven, nervous. "Are you mad at me?" he asked. Mad? Mad was such a small word. Too small for what betrayal feels like. For what abandonment tastes like. For the way silence can pull apart every memory you thought was unbreakable. "I just want to understand," I said softly. "Why didn't you fight for me?" He hesitated, and in that hesitation, I saw the truth unravel. "She's sensitive." And she thinks you. Judge her, judge her. I don't even know her. We'd barely spoken more than polite sentences. She thinks you don't like her, he insisted. And just like that, my existence, my place in our family, my relationship with my own brother was reduced to someone else's insecurity. Someone he chose over blood, over history, over loyalty. And maybe this is the moment where most people would scream, accuse, demand justice. But I didn't. I went quiet, painfully quiet, because sometimes the deepest heartbreak doesn't explode, it sinks. Sinks into every memory, every conversation, every moment you once believed meant something. I whispered, I hope she makes you happy, truly. But I need time, he tried to respond. But I hung up. And for the first time since childhood, I cried not because my heart hurt, but because I finally saw the truth about where I truly stood. But this isn't the end of my story. Not even close, because pain, when faced in silence, does something strange to you. It teaches you what strength really feels like, what self-worth actually looks like, what it means to rise without asking anyone to notice. And what happened after that wedding, what unfolded in the weeks and months that followed, would change all of us forever, especially him. I didn't go to the wedding. I didn't check social media. I didn't ask anyone how it went. I didn't look at photos or pretend to be okay. I simply disappeared. Not out of spite, but out of survival. The morning of the ceremony, while the entire family dressed in silks and smiles, I sat on my bedroom floor, the same place I'd been broken days earlier, and I let silence hold me the way no one else did. It's strange how pain behaves when you stop running from it. It settles. It sharpens. It changes shape. And that day, it changed me. I made tea. I opened the window. The world outside went on as if nothing inside me was collapsing. Cars passed. Birds sang. Children laughed in the street. Life didn't pause for my heartbreak. I think that was the first moment I realized something powerful. I didn't need anyone to validate my hurt. Because pain, when truly felt, becomes its own teacher. I received a text from my mother around noon. We're leaving now. I wish you were coming. There was a deeper message buried inside it. Something like disappointment mixed with guilt, but I ignored it. I didn't want to carry anyone else's emotions that day. My own were heavy enough. Hours trickled by. The ceremony came and went somewhere without me. Vows were exchanged. Tears were shed. Hands were joined, and my brother, my own brother, smiled in photos I would never see, celebrated moments I wasn't allowed to witness, and danced under lights I wasn't invited to stand beneath, while I sat in a quiet room, trying to erase the sound of his voice telling me she didn't want me there. Round evening, when the sky had turned to soft, muted gold, I heard a car pull up. I froze. My heart tightened. A familiar knock echoed through the hallway. My mother. I opened the door slowly. She looked beautiful, dressed in deep maroon, hair styled. Makeup fading after a long day of emotions and celebration, but her eyes held something else, a worry. Maybe shame. He asked about you, she said softly. I stayed silent. He looked around for you during the family photos. I think he thought you'd show up anyway. The words stung, not because she said them, but because they revealed a truth I didn't expect. He wanted me there, but not enough to fight for me. And that kind of love, half-hearted, half brave, half loyal, is more painful than no love at all. I nodded, forcing a small smile. It's okay. Mama, really? She cupped my cheek. No, it's not. It wasn't fair. Her voice broke then. And I realized something I hadn't before. My pain wasn't just mine. It had spilled into the people around me, into my mother's heart, into spaces between us. She hugged me before leaving again. Sleep well, she whispered. But that night, sleep didn't come. I lay awake listening to the echo of imagined moments. A wedding toast I'd never give. A sibling photo I'd never be part of. A memory that would never include me. And for the first time in my life, I realized something soul-shaking. Family loyalty is not guaranteed by blood. It's proven in actions, and my brother had chosen someone else's comfort over my existence. But I wasn't ready to hate him. That's the thing about love. It clings even when it hurts. Days passed. Weeks blurred. I became quieter, softer in the way exhausted people become soft. But I didn't crumble, not this time. Instead, something unexpected began to happen. I started focusing on myself. It wasn't intentional at first. Just small things. A morning walk, journaling, picking up a new project at work, reading late into the night. Distraction led to habit. Habit led to healing. Healing led to transformation. And transformation, that's slow, quiet kind the world doesn't notice at first, is the most powerful kind of revenge there is. But the universe has a strange way of testing you once you start rising, because one afternoon, months later, I received a message from him. My brother, can we talk? My stomach nodded instantly. Part of me wanted to ignore it. Another part, the part that still held traces of sisterly hope, wanted to answer. I typed slowly. About what? His reply came fast. Everything. He asked if he could come over. I hesitated, staring at the screen, feeling every memory, every wound. Every piece of the broken past press against me. Eventually, I said yes, minutes later. He stood at my door, looking different than I remembered. Tired, uneasy, guilty. Hi, he whispered. I stepped aside. He walked in, hands trembling slightly as he sat on the couch like a guest in a home he once considered his second home. There was a long silence. Then he exhaled deeply. She and my mother had a fight. A fight? What did that have to do with me? He continued, rubbing his forehead. She said things about you. Things I didn't know she thought. He couldn't meet my eyes. She said you would embarrass her. That you're too confident, too independent, too outspoken. I felt my chest tighten. Too confident? Too independent? Since when were those flaws? It hit me then. His wife didn't push me out because I was a problem. She pushed me out because of her insecurities, and he let her. He swallowed hard. I should have defended you. I should have stood up for you. I should have been your brother. The apology I had waited months for hung in the air like a fragile thread. I didn't rush to take it. I didn't cry. Instead, I asked quietly, why didn't you? He looked up then, and what I saw in his eyes wasn't justification. It wasn't pride. It was fear. Fear of conflict. Fear of choosing. Fear of losing something easier to keep than to confront. She said she'd leave if I invited you. My heart cracked in a way I didn't expect, not because of the ultimatum, but because my brother believed he could lose her, but not me. He assumed my loyalty was guaranteed, no matter how he treated me. And realizing that hurt more than the wedding, because it made me understand something painful and freeing. People value most what they fear losing. He didn't fear losing me. For a long moment, I didn't speak. I just breathed slowly, letting the truth settle. When I finally spoke, my voice was soft. I'm not angry anymore. But I'm not the sister you left behind either. He blinked, stunned. He hadn't expected that. I continued, you didn't break me, but you did lose a version of me. One that defended you blindly. One that forgave everything without question. One that would have walked through fire for you. He swallowed again, eyes glistening. I want her back, he whispered. I shook my head gently. She's gone. Silence filled the room, not sharp, not heavy. Just real. He reached for my hand slowly. Can we fix us? I felt a sting deep in my chest. Not from pain, but from knowing the power had shifted quietly into my hands. I didn't reject his hand, but I didn't take it either. I don't know yet, I said honestly, but I'm willing to try. If you're willing to put effort into being my brother again. He nodded quickly, almost desperately. I will. I swear. But promises made in guilt are different from promises made in love and deep down. I knew this journey wouldn't be simple, but for the first time in months, I felt something that eased the ache inside me. Control. choice, strength. My life was no longer centered around who included me. It was centered around who valued me. He stayed for a while. We talked, not fully healed, but no longer strangers, when he left. I stood at the doorway watching him walk to his car. A part of me mourning what we lost and another part hopeful for what might one day grow again. But one thing was certain, I wasn't chasing love anymore. Not from him. Not from anyone, because somewhere between heartbreak and healing, I'd found a version of myself I didn't want to lose again, and I didn't know it yet. But something was coming. Something that would test both our loyalties in a way neither of us expected. I didn't sleep the night before my brother's wedding, not because I was sad anymore, but because I finally understood something no one had ever taught me before sometimes. The people you bleed for won't even offer you a bandage. I woke up with a strange calmness that morning, the kind that comes after a storm. That nearly destroyed you. But somehow you're still standing, and in that stillness, I realized I didn't need to be part of their celebration to celebrate myself. So I got dressed slowly, not in a wedding outfit, but in something that felt like armor. A simple pastel dress, soft at the sleeves, but steady at the seams. While they spent the morning preparing flowers, makeup, cameras, I spent mine preparing something far quieter. A goodbye my brother never saw coming. I didn't go to the wedding. Not because I wasn't invited, but because I finally understood my worth instead. I took a long bus ride out of the city to a place I hadn't visited in years, the old hilltop garden, where my mother used to take us as kids. The wind smelled like childhood, the kind where your innocence was still untouched. I sat on the wooden bench overlooking the valley, holding a small letter in my hand, a letter I had written for my brother the night before. It wasn't angry. It wasn't bitter. It wasn't even emotional. It was honest. I love you, I wrote, and I always will. But I can't keep fighting for a place in your life you've already given to someone else. So I'm stepping back, not to punish you, not to hurt you, but to protect myself. And at the end, I wrote one more sentence, the one that took the most strength to admit. If you ever look for me, you will find me not where you left me, but where I grew. I folded the letter, placed it in an envelope, and mailed it to his house, the house where his new wife would eventually open it. With the same hands that pushed me away, then I returned to the hilltop, sat quietly, and allowed myself to breathe for the first time in years. I wasn't chasing anyone. That afternoon, I turned off my phone. No messages, no calls, no updates. Just peace. Hours passed, and as the sun began to lower, its rays fell over the valley like golden forgiveness. I didn't realize I had tears in my eyes until the wind cooled my cheeks. And a strange thing happened. I didn't feel lonely. I felt free. Days turned into weeks. Weeks into a month. I thought the world would fall apart without him. But instead, my world became clearer, quieter, safer. I focused on my work, my art, my health, my healing, and little by little, people who truly valued me started appearing in my life. Friends who listened, colleagues who appreciated me, opportunities that blossomed without anyone's permission. My life began expanding in all the places it had once been suffocated. Then, one evening, as I was locking up my office, I saw a familiar figure standing outside. My brother. His eyes were swollen, his tie pulled loose, his shoulders heavy with something that looked a lot like regret. Maya, he whispered. I'm so sorry. I didn't rush to comfort him. I didn't fold into the softness of old habits. I just stood there, quiet, gentle, steady. He took a step closer. You weren't at the wedding, he said softly. I kept looking, hoping you'd show up. I looked into his tired eyes, the same eyes that once used to search for me first in every room, and I finally understood. His regret wasn't just about the wedding. It was deeper, older, heavier. I missed you, he said, and his voice cracked in the middle. For a moment, the child inside me, the one who used to braid his hair and protect him from bullies, Wanted to forgive everything instantly. But healing had taught me something powerful. Love without boundaries is not love. It's self-destruction. So I took a slow breath and chose softness over anger. I'm here, I said. Just not in the way you're used to. He swallowed hard. And for the first time in my life, I saw my brother as something fragile. Someone who finally understood what losing a sister really meant. He apologized again. Not with excuses. Not with explanations, but with the sincerity of a man who finally realized that family is not a right. It is a responsibility. We didn't hug. We didn't cry into each other's arms. Life isn't always a movie. Instead, we talked slowly, carefully, like two people learning each other again from the beginning. And that was enough. Because forgiveness, I learned, is not about forgetting what they did. It's about remembering what you deserve. Today, our relationship looks different, quieter, more respectful, more honest. His wife still keeps her distance. And that's okay. I don't need her acceptance anymore. My world is full, with love, with peace, with people who choose me without hesitation. And my brother, he chooses me now too. Not perfectly, not consistently, but genuinely, and maybe that's enough for this lifetime. I tell this story not to shame him, not to expose my pain, but to remind anyone listening, sometimes the people closest to you will become the ones who cut you the deepest, but sometimes those same wounds will teach you how to rise higher than you ever thought you could. I wasn't invited to his wedding, but I was invited into something far more meaningful, my own healing, my own strength, my own life, and in the end, that is the most beautiful celebration I could have asked for.